Assalamu alaikum, this is Dr. Mona El-Idrisi, author of the Muslim Narcissist book. In today's podcast, I'll be answering the question of do narcissists get their karma? Do they pay for what they do to people? And I'll be answering this question from an Islamic perspective in accordance to what's been written in the Quran and the Hadith. So I have a lot of clients who say to me, will this abuser get away with everything that he's done or she's done? They seem to be having a great life. They've moved on with their new supply. Their business is doing well. They've got married. They've got children now. They've moved on, but I haven't. I'm still stuck in the same place in life. I'm still trying to heal from the abuse that I've been put through. I'm still trying to heal from all the trauma, and they've just skipped off into the sunset, and life seems to be good for them. So does that mean that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not see what they've done? Does it not matter what they've done to me? This is what a lot of people are going through. A lot of people are thinking this way. Again, narcissistic abuse makes you think badly of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's one of the repercussions of living with narcissists for a long period of time. They start to distort your perception of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You may have been someone very practicing with a high level of tawakkul, and all of a sudden you're seeing Allah as, a creator who is unjust because you're the one who is suffering, still trying to get over the abuse that you've been through, and you're looking at the narcissists and they just seem to be having a great time. They seem to be enjoying their life, and it can be really crippling to a victim to see that. And this is where a lot of doubt in the deen creeps in. This is where a lot of depression creeps in, self-hate, self-loathing. Some people may even doubt themselves as to whether it was the right decision to let go of the narcissist, because now they start to believe that, well, maybe I'm the one that was in the wrong. Maybe there was a problem with me because the narcissist seems to be absolutely fine and I'm the one who's suffering. I'm the one who's depressed and unhappy, and I'm not married and I don't have this and I don't have money and a good lifestyle, but they do. Maybe they were right. And so a lot of people here actually start to doubt themselves, and they start to believe that maybe the narcissist wasn't the abuser, the perpetrator, because they're seeing their life as being blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now. They are seeing the narcissist's new life as a result of them not being the abuser. Allah's giving them what they want. So in this situation, when the narcissist comes back to Hoover, a lot of people go back. A lot of people go back to the narcissist because they've programmed themselves to believe that actually they were the problem, because they are the ones who are not being blessed in their lives and the narcissist is. So now they see themselves as the flawed and the narcissist as the victim. So they take the narcissist back when they come to Hoover. It's a complete mind fog that people go through after coming out of narcissistic abuse. And it's the reason why so many people go back, only to go through level 2, level 3, level 4 to level 20 of every shade of abuse. That's what you get when you take the narcissist back. Please visit previous podcasts about the Hoover to learn more about this. So before I jump into this, I'd like to kindly ask you to please like, share and subscribe to this channel for future content that's related to the subject of narcissism, codependency and just healing in general. Please do share this podcast with anyone who you feel may really benefit from the knowledge that I will give you, because it can be life-changing. So you'll get the reward, inshallah, for passing on beneficial knowledge. So if you've listened to one of my previous podcasts about the narcissist getting worse, the more you love, forgive and support them, you'll understand that no matter what you do with narcissists, because they have a disorder. Like when you listen to sheikhs who tell us you have to forgive and forget, you have to, if you want Allah's mercy, if you want Allah's forgiveness, then forgive other Muslims, forgive your husband, forgive your wife for the abuse you go through. Forgive your parents, forgive whoever it is who's abusing you. And many sheikhs, many scholars, many imams have no knowledge about psychology. They don't understand disorders. They don't understand that the more you forgive a narcissist and the more you make excuses for narcissists, the worse they get. It's a disorder that the majority of our Muslim people in authority have no clue about. They don't know. And so they're giving the wrong advice to people because they don't understand that narcissists have disorders that are not easily treated, because narcissism is an internal problem. It's an internal spiritual problem. It's a problem with that person's qareen. So no one can help the narcissist change if that narcissist does not want to change. It's not possible. And that's why so much marriage advice that's going around at the moment with all these people in authority, sheikhs and imams, they're causing more damage to people than helping the situation, because the more you tell someone to forgive an abuser or to make excuses for an abuser, the more misery that victim's going to live in, because you're going to go through more cycles of abuse. It doesn't stop. Narcissists do not appreciate it when you forgive them. They don't appreciate it when you're kind and you're lenient and you're making excuses for them. They do not appreciate it because they don't have that level of empathy. They don't have that level of nafs that is required for them to appreciate it. They laugh at you. They think that you're weak. And they believe that they're so important, you can't even leave them. So you're tolerating their cheating. You're tolerating them being abusive and disrespectful in front of other people towards you. And whatever it is that they do, they believe that you're tolerating it because you're weak, because you have no self-respect and no self-esteem. Someone who cheats on you in a marriage is narcissistic, because they're actually not just taking away your rights, they are also attempting to cheat Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're attempting to cheat. That's how high the level of arrogance is in narcissists. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them the gift of rizq, which is a wife or a husband in halal. But they're saying, nah, I don't want this. I want the haram. I'm going to neglect the rights of the one who you've given to me in halal, and I'm going to chase the haram. So that's why the punishment for adultery is so severe, because if you were to neglect the halal and substitute it with haram, then you are defiant. You are being defiant to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are rebelling against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah tells us if you cannot maintain the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the marriage, then it's best that everyone goes their separate way. It's best that everyone goes their separate way and split up, because if you don't, and you're violating someone's rights in that marriage by choosing the haram over the halal and depriving someone from their rights at the same time, then you're now causing oppression to someone. And oppression is one of the worst sins that you can commit against someone else, especially another Muslim. You will be held accountable for that on the Day of Judgment. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to save us from having to be accountable for that, and He tells us just go your separate ways. In Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 229, in the second half of the ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ أَلَّا يُقِيمَا حُدُودَ اللَّهِ فَلَا جُنَاحَ عَلَيْهِمَا فِيمَا افْتَدَتْ بِهِ تِلْكَ حُدُودُ اللَّهِ فَلَا تَعْتَدُوهَا وَمَنْ يَتَعَدَّ حُدُودَ اللَّهِ فَأُولَئِكَ هُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ. Allah says, if you suspect that a couple may not be able to live in accordance to the boundaries of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the marriage, then there's no blame upon either of them if the woman opts to ransom herself out of the situation. So she gives her mahar back and she gets out of the situation. These are the boundaries set by Allah. Do not overstep them. It is those who overstep God's boundaries who are the wrongdoers, the oppressors. And so I'm mentioning this particular ayah because there is a requirement from us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remove ourselves from a situation in which oppression is happening. We need to do that. And Allah is all hearing, all knowing, all seeing. He knows what everyone's going through. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Ibrahim, ayah 42, وَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ اللَّهَ غَافِلًا عَمَّا يَعْمَلُ الظَّالِمُونَ إِنَّمَا يُؤَخِّرُهُمْ لِيَوْمٍ تَشْخَصُ فِيهِ الْأَبْصَارُ. And never think that Allah is unaware of what the wrongdoers do. He only delays them for a day when the eyes will stare in horror. So you may see that the narcissist has moved on with his or her life. Your parents don't care about what they've done to you. Your friends, your colleagues, your employers, I am applying this to all narcissists in your life, okay? You may believe and see that they have moved on with their life, but what you don't understand is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is delaying them. Allah delays them. And never forget that the narcissist is already living in his or her karma. Unfortunately, a lot of people do not realize this. A lot of people do not understand that the narcissist in himself or herself is already being punished in this dunya, because they're a narcissist. They are overpowered by their qareen. That in itself is a punishment for their arrogance. They don't live life like normal human beings. They don't live life as empaths. They don't have connections to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're too arrogant. I'm telling you, these people have egos the size of China. Their pride and their arrogance and their delusion is what makes them the way they are. They hop from supply to supply. They can never find satisfaction. They never find contentment. Never find happiness. Isn't that in itself a punishment? Isn't that in itself something that everyone who isn't narcissistic should say Alhamdulillah for? Because it's a trial and a hardship. The longer these people stay narcissistic and don't make the effort to change, and don't make the effort to actually start to overpower their qareen and elevate their nafs, the longer they do it, the more that qareen will have a hold on them. And the harder their jihad and nafs is going to be. The harder their jihad and nafs is going to be. Because they're too arrogant. It works for them. It works for them to be deceiving people and lie to people and manipulating people. They somehow manage to get what they want. Because people fall for the love bombing. People fall for the deceptions. People fall for the religious facade. And so they think, well, if I can fake it, why do I have to change? Why do I have to put all that hard work in to change myself and overpower my qareen who's already tormenting me 24/7? Why do I have to deal with all of that when I can just fake it and people are suckers for it? People fall for it. That is brilliant for a narcissist. Why would they change? As long as people are falling for their facade and their delusions, as long as they can find new supply, as long as people are tolerating abuse and tolerating the rubbish they come with, why would they change? What motivates them to change? Please visit again previous podcasts about can narcissists change? Yes, of course they can. But it takes an extremely humbling experience from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for them to even want to make a change. They have to hit rock bottom. And when I say rock bottom, I mean the kind of rock bottom where no mask they have is going to get them out of it. There is no mask they can wear in that particular time, in that hardship, that will get them out of that pit. They have to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that moment. It's like Fir'aun, when he was stranded in the middle of the ocean. The only one who could help him was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Narcissists, they continue with their oppression until they find themselves stranded in the middle of the ocean. And only then do they wake up. And not all of them, by the way. Not all of them will wake up. Sometimes they're even arrogant in that moment in time and they curse Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they say, why did you do this to me? Or they might even take their own lives because they don't want to face the lesson and to face the actual reality of having to change, having to make those efforts to change. So many narcissist guys commit suicide. When they hit rock bottom, when a narcissist sees no way out, when Allah wants them to realize that it's just them and Allah in that moment in time, a lot of narcissists commit suicide. A lot of them do. And that's why narcissists are addicted to drugs and alcohol, and they have addictions because that's their escape. Sometimes their addiction is just jumping from woman to woman or man to man. They all have very unhealthy addictions that help them to escape, but they will never escape the accounting of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the answer is no. The answer is no, they never get away with it. It may seem that way, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, I will delay them. I will delay them until a day when their eyes will stare in horror. They will have to face that on the Day of Judgment because they're too arrogant to face it in this lifetime. They're too arrogant to apologize and make amends with people in this lifetime. Some narcissists put themselves in a situation where the only accounting they will have to face is the accounting of the Day of Judgment, because they do not want to take accountability in this dunya, which will be 1,000 times easier than having yourself made accountable on the Day of Judgment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are choosing hardship for themselves. They're choosing hardships for themselves because they know good people exist. If they want to, they can learn how to be good people from good people. But instead, they lurk on channels like mine and other channels about how to survive narcissistic abuse, and they learn how to use empathy to manipulate even more victims. They don't use information about empathy in a good way. It's not something that they do. They are blind. They're blind to the goodness that they could actually extract from empathic people. They use it in the wrong way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Baqarah, Ayah 18, صُمٌّ بُكْمٌ عُمْيٌ فَهُمْ لَا يَرْجِعُونَ. They are willfully deaf, dumb and blind, so they can never return to the right path. Deaf, dumb and blind, no matter what you teach a narcissist, no matter how many times you tell them you're abusing me, I don't like this, I'm not happy with this, stop doing this, stop talking to me like this. This is making the marriage break down. Stop oppressing me, stop taking my rights away from me. Deaf, dumb and blind. They don't see it. They don't see it. This in itself, they are already, while they're with you, they are already going through their punishment from Allah. Because they are racking up so many sins to be accountable for. And not only are they racking up so many sins, you have so many golden cards to take from their good deeds on the Day of Judgment. So every tiny bit of abuse that these people put you through, you better believe that you will get your justice on the Day of Judgment. You may not get it in this life. You may not get it. Because this life is more about teaching us lessons. This life is not meant to be Jannah. It's not Jannah. We don't live in paradise where there's justice and peace and harmony. We don't live in that world. People are seeking justice in all perfection in this dunya when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hasn't made it to be that way. There will be people who die and it would seem like they got away with everything. No one held them accountable. But they went to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is dealing with them in the barzakh. They are being dealt with in that grave. There is a hadith Qudsi where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O my slaves, I have forbidden dhulm, injustice, wrongdoing, unfairness to myself, and I have made it haram amongst you. So do not wrong one another. Do not wrong one another. Now, imams, scholars, preachers can say this until the cows come home. It's not going to affect narcissists. Because if it did, preachers have been saying this for the last 1,000 years. Do you think that we would be in the situation we're in today if that advice was actually implemented in society? No. Why? Because I would say the majority of people now are narcissistic. When you give Islamic advice like this about oppression, about kind treatment and empathy and be loving to your wife, be loving to this, be loving to that, it goes in one ear and out the other. One ear and out the other. Why? Because these people do not understand disorders. They think if they can scream it into people, then those narcissistic people will wake up. It doesn't work like that. It's an internal qareen problem. It doesn't work like that. I'm telling you, you can preach until next year. You can tell narcissists how important it is to be empathic and kind. You're asking people to be who they can't be. They don't have that level of empathy. They don't have that level of nafs. It will only affect people. Islamic lectures like this only affects people who have that level of nafs. If you do not have that level of nafs, it won't sink into your heart. It won't sink into your heart. You won't even like hearing it. Narcissists hate listening to Islamic lectures, by the way. They will only listen to them when they want to prove a point to you about something. But they don't like listening to them because not only do they make them feel shame, they do feel a sense of shame when listening, but it also doesn't apply to narcissists. Like, it's not information they can actually absorb into their hearts. And I just see people wasting their time, constantly giving da'wah, constantly talking about good treatment and justice and oppression, and it goes in one ear and out the other. So people who do not understand the disorder, they just believe that narcissistic people are just out to get them all the time. When you're living with narcissistic parents or husband or wife, and you're always bringing them a hadith or Quran verses about the rights of women, the rights of men. Allah doesn't like oppression. Allah doesn't like, all this abuse. The Prophet Muhammad, he told people to treat people with fairness. Don't lie, don't manipulate. Inside, narcissists are laughing at you because they're ruled by their qareen. Their qareen does not want them to have any kind of spiritual connection to the deen. Like I said, they will only use the deen when it's in their advantage. But you telling them and teaching them these things, why do you think so many people get so frustrated living with them? Because it doesn't work, it doesn't help. You showing them lectures, Islamic lectures about oppression, doesn't help. It's their game. It's their game. It just makes the victim even more upset, even more angry, even more resentful. They want to take revenge. I'm going to come on to revenge in a moment. But you're wasting your breath, you're wasting your time teaching narcissists about empathy, because they truly believe that empaths are fools. It's a fool's playground to be empathic. And these people are slaves to their egos. They're slaves to their qareens. They worship their qareen. Whatever their qareen tells them to do, they'll do it. Whatever their nafs al-ammara bis-su' tells them to do, they do it. They actually worship something other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why when you are in the disorder of being a narcissist, you're not a true believer. You can't be. It's not possible, because your qareen's mission is satanic. Your qareen's mission is to make you go against your fitrah and go against Allah's commands. That's why they oppress people in marriage. That's why they cheat. That's why they do all sorts of horrible, ugly things to good people, because they are slaves to their qareen. Their qareen is satanic jinn devil who reports back to the shaitan. And that is who narcissists worship. They don't worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm telling you. These people are not true believers. They might say that they're Muslim, whatever. But they're not true believers because, again, I've said this many times, a true believer is someone who believes that a day of judgment is coming. And if you believe a day of judgment is coming, you will act accordingly. You will know that you'll be held accountable by the Almighty. So you're careful how you treat people. Empaths are always like that. Empaths are very careful, who they deal with, because they don't want to harm anyone. They don't want to overstep their boundaries. Even with narcissists, they'd rather remove themselves from the company of narcissists and relationships with narcissists. Even if those people are their parents, they will prefer to distance themselves so they do not wrong anybody. They do not oppress anyone, because ultimately they're going to feel really bad and guilty for it. I have clients who come and tell me, my father's done horrific things with me and my mother's done horrific things, but I'm worried that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not forgive me if I'm not there for them. That's the mindset of an empath. So if you're not in that mindset, you're not going to care about a day of judgment, because you don't truly believe it's coming. In the back of your mind, you do. In the back of your mind, again, that's why I said in my previous podcast, no one fears death more than a narcissist, because they know they're not good people. They know. But their pride and arrogance make them escalate abuse. It makes them who they are. So it's essentially narcissists harm themselves before anyone else, because they're doing this to themselves, deaf, dumb and blind, and it's backfiring on them. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, and this is narrated in Bukhari, beware of the dua of the oppressed, for there is no barrier between it and Allah. واتق دعوة المظلوم فإنه ليس بينها وبين الله حجاب. So when a victim is oppressed because the narcissist is abusing them, especially when that person is in a vulnerable situation, for example, a woman, a wife who has nowhere to go, no male relatives who care about her, she's got no money, no education, no job, no career, nothing, and she's in a marriage with an abuser who's taking advantage of the fact that she's in a very vulnerable situation and that she's got nowhere to go and that she can't ask for a divorce and she's terrified of being divorced. So when you're in that, especially when you're in that kind of situation, and I know a lot of women are, the dua that you make against your oppressor, against your abuser, it goes straight to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to take that seriously? Allah hates the oppressors. Anyone who violates your rights and the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and anyone who is good, Allah deals with that person. Just be patient. Just be patient. Allah promises He's going to deal with these people. But He knows when is the right time. We want it now. We want that revenge right now, right now, right now. It doesn't work like that with Allah. And this is why revenge is forbidden in Islam. We have to leave the matter of the oppressors to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The only time we are allowed to retaliate in Islam is in self-defense. If someone's attacking us, we are allowed to attack back in self-defense. However, when it comes to revenge, it's not permitted in Islam. Why is it not permitted? Because when you take revenge on someone, usually you're in a very bad state of mind. Very angry, very bitter, very jealous, you're in a rage. And in that moment in time, you are overpowered by your qareen. Okay? So the revenge that you take on someone is as a result of you being overpowered by your qareen at that time. So you will do things that will backfire on you later. You'll do things that will backfire on you. You may even bring more harm to you by acting on those feelings. You might do things that are completely outrageous that once you come back to your mind and you think, oh my goodness, how did I do that? I can't believe I did that. You might even stab someone out of revenge. You might burn someone's car, smash someone's windows, kill someone's pet. I'm telling you, I've seen crazy things happen. I've seen crazy things happen with those who want to take revenge on narcissists. People will do crazy things. And then it backfires on you. You're the one who's going to get approached by the police. You're the one who's going to get arrested. You're the one who's going to serve a jail sentence. You're the one who's going to end up in a mental asylum. You're the one who's going to be looked at as the crazy person. You're the one who's going to get the narcissist retaliation come back at you, and it could be worse. It could be worse. Narcissists do not take revenge lightly. If you take revenge on a narcissist, you better believe they'll come for you. And it could be 10 times worse. Revenge in Islam is not permitted because it usually harms the victim more. You are dealing with demons. You are dealing with people who have no fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you take revenge in that kind of way, when you act on your emotions, when you allow your qareen to overpower you and act on, your feelings, and in that moment in time, you're going to cause a lot of destruction to yourself and to your iman, because you will be living with the turmoil and the aftermath of whatever happens after that. So instead of you just leaving the narcissist and moving on with your life and forgetting about them, you now tie yourself to even more time with the narcissist, because the narcissist will now not leave you alone. I've seen people try to ruin the career of narcissists. They'll go and tell their employers things that they've done. They might go to the first wife and tell her everything. They might take them to court. They might expose them. They might, like, oh, I'm going to take revenge. I'm going to take him to court and show them everything. I'm going to launch my own smear campaign and release all the videos and release photos of the narcissist doing bad things, horrific things, crime, zina, whatever. The victim now is so angry. They believe that if they do this and they ruin the reputation of the narcissist as well, then they'll get their justice. It never works. Guys, never do this. Narcissists play nasty. They play so nasty. Do not put yourself in a situation where a narcissist will come for you, because they play so dirty. And you may never get over it. You may suffer for the rest of your life because of it. Because if that narcissist comes round and does something to someone or something that you love so much, you're not going to get over it very easily. How many movies have we watched, or crime documentaries, where members of gangs have lost their family members because the people, their enemies, have come for their family members. They've come to kill their family members because the gang members went to take revenge on someone who deceived them, or it happens a lot. They will target those you love. Now, this isn't all narcissists. I'm talking about the high level ones here, but it starts small. It will start small. They might just ruin your reputation completely. Top level narcissists will target the people you love. We've heard of arson attacks as well, where narcissists will set fire to the homes of their victims after the victim has exposed them in public. It happens. You've got to be really careful. This is a serious warning. Don't take revenge on the narcissist. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already promised He's going to deal with them. Even though it may not seem like it to you, that revenge is coming, but it's not meant to come from you, because Allah doesn't want you to be tormented for the rest of your life over actions that you took that were completely out of character. You'll feel ashamed. You'll feel disappointed, even if you get the satisfaction of hurting that narcissist. You as a human being will never live with it. You will never live with having to stoop that low and maybe going to jail for it. Or is the narcissist worth it? Is the narcissist worth you spending the next 10 years in jail? I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm telling you, no amount of anger is worth you getting locked up for a narcissist, or you having your marriage destroyed because of a narcissist. In Surah Al-Baqarah, from Ayah 6, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَأَنذَرْتَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. As for those who persist in disbelief, it is the same whether you warn them or not, they will never believe. Now this ayah can be applied to many things, but I am going to give my own perspective and tafsir, wallahu a'lam, on these verses, because again, we are talking about people who don't truly believe. So this applies to narcissists. This applies to those who are hypocrites. They say one thing and do the other. They show themselves to be someone religious, but in reality, they're vile human beings. They're not religious at all. They don't have a drop of fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala within them. So, there are some people who just persist in disbelief. They persist in doing things that goes against what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told them to do. So it's the same whether you teach them, whether you tell them, whether you remind them and warn them. They will never believe. They continue abusing. New supply. Wife 1, wife 2, wife 3, wife 10. They're the same with everybody. They're the same with all your siblings. They're the same with other colleagues, because they enjoy that power and control. You can teach them and warn them until, MashaAllah, it doesn't make any difference, because they don't have belief. They don't have that fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're too arrogant, so they continue. They believe they can get away with it. Narcissists believe they'll get away with it in this life. Okay? And then Allah says, ختم الله على قلوبهم وعلى سمعهم وعلى أبصارهم غشاوة ولهم عذاب عظيم. Allah has sealed their hearts and their hearing, and their sight is covered. They will suffer a tremendous punishment. So when a narcissist gets to the point where they want to continue with their arrogance, Allah's sending them signs and warnings, and He's sending them lifelines, and they're deciding not to. They make the decision. I don't want to be a good person. I enjoy being a narcissist. I enjoy being like this. Their punishment now is that Allah seals their hearts and their hearing and their sight. So they continue with what they're doing for years and years and years. That's why you get narcissists who are still narcissistic in their 60s and 70s. Deaf, dumb and blind. They are the dumbest people on this planet. You tell them something, they hear it something else. You show them something, they see something else. You show them proof, they deny it. They don't like to accept what's good. They don't like to accept what's good. So they're already in punishment because of their arrogance. Okay? And then Allah says, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَقُولُ آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ وَبِالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَمَا هُمْ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ. And there are some people who say, we believe in Allah and the last day, yet they are not true believers. Again, this explains what I was saying to you before. You get the really religious looking people out there. Yes, we believe in Allah, they're in the masjid, they're doing Quran teaching, whatever it is that they're doing. There might be preachers on Instagram and teaching the deen. But when they go home, they are horrible to their parents, horrible to their wives, horrible to their husbands, horrible to their kids. You think that's the character of a believer? Someone who believes in the last day? I don't think so. يخادعون الله والذين آمنوا وما يخدعون إلا أنفسهم وما يشعرون. They seek to deceive Allah and the believers, yet they only deceive themselves, but they fail to perceive it. Narcissists do not have long-term vision. They have very short-term vision. They don't realize that everything that they do is just backfiring on them. They are the ones who will have a horrible, miserable life. They are the ones racking up so many sins of oppression. They are the ones who fail to see that they are the ones causing themselves hardships and a difficult life. They can have such a great marriage. They can have such beautiful, empathic people around them. Wonderful, empathic wives and husbands. They can have a great relationship with their parents and communities. But because their narcissism is working in their favor and they have control and power and they intimidate people and they love to scare people, they don't understand that they are deaf, dumb and blind. They don't understand that they're only deceiving themselves. The joke is on them. The last laugh is never with the narcissist. Allah is telling us here, I'm telling you, people do not read the Quran enough. This is in Surah Al-Baqarah. Allah's teaching us, He's telling us, stop wondering if I'm ever going to make the narcissist pay. But people still, because of a lack of education in Islam, people still wonder, why is Allah doing this for the narcissist? Why am I miserable and the narcissist is moving on? Allah's already explained it in the Quran. And then Allah goes on to say, this is Surah Al-Baqarah, Ayah 10. في قلوبهم مرض فزادهم الله مرضا ولهم عذاب أليم بما كانوا يكذبون. These people have a sickness in their hearts, and Allah only lets their sickness increase. They will suffer a painful punishment for their lies. What are their lies? Their lies are, we're believers and we're pious and we're religious and we're this and we're that. But inside, they're narcissists. They're overpowered by their qareen. They hate people. They hate themselves. They hate the deen. They hate Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They hate everything. That's why narcissists are never happy. They're always moody. Look at any narcissist face. They're always moody and gloomy. They're always bitter. They're always jealous. They're always envious of other people. They hate empaths because they have a sickness. It's the spiritual sickness of the heart. It's a sickness that no one can help them treat apart from themselves. This is marad al-qalb, the sickness of the spiritual heart. في قلوبهم مرض. These people are sick. These people are unwell. And not because it's out of their control. It's a sickness that's in their control to manage and heal. They can do it, but they don't want to. وإذا قيل لهم لا تفسدوا في الأرض قالوا إنما نحن مصلحون. When they are told, do not spread corruption in the land, they reply, we are only peacemakers. They never see anything wrong with what they do. They always see themselves as the highly knowledgeable. They see themselves as the pious. They know everything. Apply this not just to the land. Apply this to your family, your home. You try to correct their behavior. You try to guide them. You try to help them. And they say, no, you're the one who has no idea. You're the one who doesn't know the deen. You're the ignorant one. I've been Muslim longer than you if they're married to a revert. Don't tell me about the deen. Don't teach me about the deen. You used to be a kafir. You used to be a kafira. I'm the one who knows the deen. I'm the one who knows better. I'm the qawwam. I'm this. I'm that. They put you down and they gaslight you to make you believe that they're the peacemakers and you're the one who's corrupting everything. You're the one who's making this marriage not work. You are the one who has a bad relationship with your family. You are the one who can never get on with colleagues. You're the corrupter and we are the peacemakers. That's what gaslighting is. When they make you believe that you're going crazy and that you're the one who's actually the corrupter, you're the problem maker, you're the troublemaker. We are only peacemakers, that's what they say. I'm cool with everything. You're the one who seems to have a problem. You're the one who's screaming, shouting because of reactive abuse. They play on your reactive abuse. So this ayah is actually about gaslighting. Allah's teaching us about gaslighting. In ayah 11, Surah Al-Baqarah. They try to gaslight people into believing that they are the ones who are righteous. They are the ones who know best. They are the ones who are doing what's right. And people start to believe them. أَلَا إِنَّهُمْ هُمُ الْمُفْسِدُونَ وَلَكِنْ لَا يَشْعُرُونَ. Indeed, it is these people who are the corrupters, but they fail to perceive it because of their arrogance. They don't like to be wrong. They never like to be wrong. They always want to be above everyone. They always want to be the most knowledgeable and the most pious and the most righteous. They don't want anyone to be better than them. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ آمِنُوا كَمَا آمَنَ النَّاسُ قَالُوا أَنُؤْمِنُ كَمَا آمَنَ السُّفَهَاءُ أَلَا إِنَّهُمْ هُمُ السُّفَهَاءُ وَلَكِنْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. And when they are told, believe as others believe, they reply, will we believe as the fools believe? Indeed, it is they who are the fools, but they do not know. So, here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that when these narcissists are told, believe in what normal people believe. Believe that what you're doing is oppression. Believe that what you're doing is abuse. Believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not permit this in marriage, did not permit this in the deen, did not permit us to treat each other this way. And then you show them a hadith and Quran verses to prove that, right? You're trying to back up everything by showing them this is in Sahih Bukhari, this is in Sahih Muslim, this is in the Quran, and they dismiss your translation or they dismiss your interpretation because they don't like the sheikh you follow. They say, that sheikh is a kafir. That sheikh is a feminist. That sheikh doesn't know what he's talking about. He's a Sufi. He's this, he's a that. I don't follow your sheikhs. I will never take advice from your sheikh. They go to misogynistic, hardcore, narcissistic shuyukh, and they take their advice from them. And they take their fatwas from them. But when you give them a more lenient interpretation, for example, there are lots of people out there who don't agree with Umar Sulaiman. And Umar Sulaiman is very kind to women. He's, honestly, I really truly believe that if the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was around in our day, in our lifetime, he would have loved Umar Sulaiman so much. Because he's calm, he doesn't scream, he doesn't shout, and he's fair. His interpretations and teachings of the deen, they're very balanced. Narcissists don't like Umar Sulaiman. So when you give them a hadith, I'm just giving you this as an example. Even Mufti Mink, narcissists don't like Mufti Mink. They say he's feminist. They say he's too nice to women. So when you send them lectures or articles written by these scholars, they reject them. They reject them and they say, well, we believe as the fools believe. We don't take this information from these shuyukh. These shuyukh are fools. These shuyukh don't know what they're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. And Allah says, indeed, it is they who are the fools, but they do not know. So out of arrogance, they will not take a more moderate approach to the deen that comes across as being kinder and more loving and more compassionate. Now, I'm not saying an interpretation of the deen that violates Allah's boundaries, of course not. I'm talking about an interpretation of the deen that has more empathy and more compassion and kindness. The ayat about women are compassionate and kind. All of that, narcissists won't take that because it goes against what they're doing. It goes against their agenda. So, a lot of people say, look, why is your interpretation so harsh of Islam? Take a more moderate approach to Islam. Take a kinder approach to Islam. They say, no, this is information of the fools. I follow the true deen, and the true deen is not taken from this interpretation. So, they do these things. They do these things, and I'm going through these ayat with you for you to understand that Allah already teaches us about these people. There's so much information about these people in the Quran, but because people do not read the Quran with tadabbur, with reflection, you won't understand it. You won't take those lessons from it. You will allow your qareen and, your nafs to overpower you and have a bad perception of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He is unjust, that He allows narcissists to get away. And then Allah says, وَإِذَا لَقَوَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا قَالُوا آمَنَّا وَإِذَا خَلَوْا إِلَى شَيَاطِينِهِمْ قَالُوا إِنَّا مَعَكُمْ إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ مُسْتَهْزِئُونَ. When they meet the believers, they say, we believe. We're Muslims, we're righteous, we're pious, we fast Ramadan, we go to the masjid, we go to Taraweeh, we go to Jum'ah, we read the Quran. They show the believers what they want to see. But when alone with their evil associates, they say, we are definitely with you, we were only joking. So their evil associates are their narcissistic friends, the evil people they love to associate with. They laugh amongst themselves over what they do. I was speaking to a client a few weeks ago, and she said that her brother, who is narcissistic, she said she overheard her brother speaking to his friends, and they were laughing about what they do to women. She said, I never knew my brother was that vile, but I overheard them one day. They were all in the house, and she said, I was walking past and I heard them laughing about all the horrible things that they've been doing to women. Oh, bruv, she's so stupid. I did this to her and I did that to her, and it was so easy, bruv. It was so easy to do this. It was so easy to take her virginity. It was so easy to manipulate her. She gave me money, bruv. That women are so stupid, and they laugh amongst each other about it. This is what narcissists do when they're with their own kind. When they're with their associates, they say, we are with you, we were only joking. They're together, they're a pack. Demons are in packs. Demons don't walk alone because demons are weak. Demons are like wolves, they go in packs. So narcissists always have to have a pack that they can go to. They always have to associate with their own kind so that they feel normal. Because if they're on their own, they feel abnormal and the shame creeps in. So they have to have their pack of wolves that they go to every now and again so that they can release their narcissism and everything that they've done. They laugh about how they've, cheated the system, benefit fraud. They laugh about that. They teach each other how to do it. They teach each other how to have secret wives. They teach each other how to get away with cheating. They teach each other all of these vile, disgusting things when they're with each other. But when they're with you, the empath, they look so wonderful. They look so great. They look amazing. That's why so many people marry them, because they fool people so well. Wallahi, behind closed doors, if you could hear the conversations they have with the people of their own kind and how they laugh about how they've conned people, scammed people out of money. When I was in Saudi and I was working in the court, I was taking cases back then. There was a court case that came through of a man who had scammed people out of millions and millions of rials, because he would have properties and he would sell that property to... So, for example, it would be a property with multiple flats inside that building. And he would sell all of the flats and he would sell it at a discounted rate because the building's not finished yet. So it's a building still in progress of being built. And he would offer people a discount. If you buy it before it's built, you'll get like 30% discount. So people will rush, to buy these luxury flats that haven't been completed. And so in Saudi, it's only when the building is complete do you get the license, the ownership license, that you own the flat, that you've purchased. So what this person would do is he would sell the flats to regular people, and just before the building is complete, he would sell the entire building to someone else. And so there were so many, and he would do this with so many buildings. So people were at war with each other because the people who had originally bought the flats were fighting the companies or the people who had bought the entire building, saying, these flats belong to us. And the owners of the new owners of the buildings would say, well, I've got the license. I own the building. You need to get out. And so he came to the court, and if you saw him, you'd think he was Sheikh Sudais. You would think he is Sheikh Sudais with the way he looks. He was carrying a subha, astaghfirullah, 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 alhamdulillah. That's the way he kept saying. Big beard, short thob, da'iga, daghutra, everything. And this man came in with a smirk because he's got royal connections. He knows he can get away with it. Anyway, the case has been going on for about 18, 19 years and he's still not been trialed for it. Still not been jailed for it. Because every time they hold him accountable, a member of the royal family gets him out. And a member of the royal family gets him out because he has the money to give and bribe someone to get him out with. So I'm telling you, these people, they deceive people with this religious facade. And I remember when I was there and I was asking the people who had come to the court appointment, the regular people who had bought the flats in the first place, they said we trusted him because he looked so religious. And if you look at him, you'd never think someone like that could con people out of millions and get away with it. And there was another court case that came in with an imam who had committed fraud, stolen loads of people's money. He'd promised them, to do sadaqah jariyah for them, help them build, masajid and all of these projects. And nothing came into fruition. He took all of the people's money and disappeared. And again, if you see the guy, You see the way this guy is again coming in with his subha, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. And you just look at him and you feel sick, because they believe it works. They believe that they really can deceive people with this facade, this religious facade. I mean, I even heard Sheikh Sudais now has been held accountable for having secret bank accounts with hundreds of millions of dollars in there. Where is he getting it? It's all bribery money. A lot of these people who come across as being super religious, wallahi, behind closed doors, when they're with their own kind, they're laughing at their victims. They share stories about all the things that they've done, and they laugh about it. And you think Allah's unaware of that? You think Allah's unaware of that? He goes on to say in ayah 15, Allahu yastahzi'u bihim wa yamudduhum fi tughyanihim ya'mahun. Allah will throw their mockery back at them, leaving them to continue wandering blindly in their defiance. Blindly. The punishment and the karma of the narcissist is in him or her being a narcissist. They're already receiving their punishment, and this ayah is evidence of that. They will wander blindly in this dunya in their defiance. They'll be defiant to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They will do everything wrong under the sun. They won't do anything correctly. They won't do anything in accordance to the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because they've cursed themselves. With their arrogance, they've cursed themselves. أولئك الذين اشتروا الضلالة بالهدى فما ربحت تجارتهم وما كانوا مهتدين. They are the ones who trade guidance for misguidance. And this trade is profitless, and they are not rightly guided. Clear. Simple, clear. They prefer misguidance over guidance. That's why they cheat. That's why they con. That's why they scam. They have everything good in their lives, but they ruin it with misguidance. They ruin it by corruption. They ruin it by their arrogance, by always choosing the haram over the halal. مثلهم كمثل الذي استوقد نارا فلما أضاءت ما حوله ذهب الله بنورهم وتركهم في ظلمات لا يبصرون. Their example is that of someone who kindles a fire, but when it lights up all around them, Allah takes away their light, leaving them in complete darkness, unable to see. So they kindle their fire because they need a way out. They're trying to find a path that suits their agenda. But when it lights up all around them, Allah takes away their light. He takes away their light. They don't have a light. They are in darkness, unable to see. This darkness is their arrogance. This darkness is their defiance. And they're always unable to see the truth. They can't see the truth. They're always in denial. They're always arrogant and arguing against what is so clearly correct, so clearly right. They argue over anything. They're so petty in their arguments because they don't like to be wrong. But they're like people who fumble around in the dark. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what's good for them. They have no intelligence, no morality, no deen, no guidance. Anyone with no guidance is going to be fumbling around in the dark because they're misguided. They have no guide. They have no GPS. When you have no GPS and you're driving in the dark, it's a nightmare. Have you ever tried it? Oh my goodness. I remember once my battery died and it was late at night and I couldn't use my GPS in the car. This was years ago when TomTom first came out. I was going down every crazy country road. It was terrifying. It was terrifying. It took me a really long time to find a main road because you're fumbling around in the dark. You don't know where you're going. You don't know what you're doing. You need that guidance. You need that GPS. So this is the state of their life. صُمٌّ بُكْمٌ عُمْيٌ فَهُمْ لَا يَرْجِعُونَ. They are willfully deaf, dumb and blind, so they will never return to the right path. They do it to themselves. So that is your answer. That is your answer to whether the narcissist gets away with it or not. Of course they don't. Of course they don't. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most just. It may seem like they are, but I promise you, they will never get away with what they're doing. Never. And that's a promise. These surahs in the Quran have been sent to us for a reason. Allah knows we're going to get oppressed. Allah knows we're going to get treated and abused by so many people out there. Of course there's going to be comfort for the victims and the believers in the Quran. We need to go back to the Quran and the Sunnah to really understand our deen. You know, like a lot of shuyukh, they will take these verses out of context and they'll say they only apply to the kuffar. Allah is only talking about the disbelievers here, people who are not Muslim. No, because I can promise you, I can guarantee you, anyone who's dealt with a narcissistic abuser can relate to every single ayah I've just read out. Because that's their character. And like I said, these are not true believers, so it applies to them. It applies to them. So the question that would be left is, I still have a burning sensation of taking revenge on the narcissist. What's the best way of taking revenge or making a narcissist pay? Because it's a fire in my heart that I can't extinguish. I can't let it go. I get a lot of people saying this to me. I can't let it go. I don't know what to do. I can't let them get away with it. It's killing me. It's eating me alive. I need to do something to make myself feel better. I'll tell you, the best way to make a narcissist pay is to not let them see that they've destroyed you. Listen to my previous podcasts about what they want to do to you. A narcissist's biggest mission is to destroy you. And if you take revenge on a narcissist in your own way, like I said before, it will result in crimes you being accountable for and jailed for. It will result in you committing major sins. Maybe you'll be so angry, the narcissist cheated on you, you'll say, I'm going to go and cheat on them. I'm going to go and sleep with someone now. And you put yourself in a situation again because you're ruled by the qareen, and the qareen will make you do that. You're in a situation where you've now committed a major sin out of hope that you will get the narcissist back. How have you improved your situation? You're now accountable for that major sin in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you do go crazy, when you do, whatever it is that you want to do to take revenge on the narcissist, when you do these things, it gives them fuel. They love it. They are laughing because they can see how much they've affected you. The worse the revenge, the more they know they've hurt you. And they win. You let them win. When you let them see that I have to go to these measures to get back at you for what you did to me. Oh, they love to see it, believe me. They revel in it. They love to see you in pain and suffering and hurt and jealous and all of those emotions. They love to see those emotions come out. It makes them feel powerful. Like, I got her or him to feel like that. I have such control over their emotions. I did that. I made them act that way. That's how powerful I am. They don't see it in the way you see it because they've got a disorder. Especially when you commit major sins to get back at them, they're laughing at you inside. Because now, again, it's a double win for them. Now you're going to be accountable. Now you and me are the same. You and me, we're the same low types of people. Rock bottom. You don't like me because I'm a zani or you're a zania now. You and me, we're the same. It satisfies the narcissist to see you commit major sins to get back at them. Stop doing it. Stop doing it. You're letting them win. You're letting your qareen win and their qareen win. It's a spiritual battle that you're facing. It's spiritual warfare. And you're letting them win with your revenge. Now, this is something on the side, just a quick note before I forget it. A lot of people get in the way of narcissist karma. A lot of people get in the way. Because if you imagine this, if you are someone who has come into contact with a narcissist, okay? Well, I'm just going to give you an example, a scenario. You've met a man, he's showing you red flags, you're brushing them under the carpet because he's so funny, he's so charismatic, he's so fun, he's so handsome. You're seeing blaring red flags, but you're in love with the guy now. You brush them under the carpet. And he's telling you sob stories about his ex. My ex did this to me. My ex won't let me see my kids. My ex physically abused me. My ex called the police on me. My ex. And you feel sorry for that narcissist, okay? You believe the narcissist. Despite the red flags of them being problematic, you believe the narcissist, okay? And it's in your favour to believe the narcissist, because if you believe the narcissist, it means you can be with this person. So, the narcissist has already come out of a situation in which they're paying for, because the ex won't let them hoover her, okay? They've tried to hoover the ex, and the ex has totally door slammed on that person. Totally door slammed that person. So he's out looking for new supply. Now, instead of him suffering, instead of him going through all the horrible emotions of being door slammed and being kicked out of someone's life because they're an abuser and they're disgusting, they fall into your arms. So they get you as a distraction. Stop entertaining people who have red flags, because you're saving them from facing their karma. You're saving them from facing the reality of the situation they've just been kicked out of. They don't allow themselves to suffer, so they jump into a rebound relationship with someone else. This is why I hate online apps, because they are infested with people looking for rebounds. They're infested with narcissists who have been kicked out of someone's house, kicked out of someone's life, and they need a quick distraction. They need a quick rebound. And they'll latch on to anyone who'll give them attention. And then before you know it, you're going through a cycle of abuse with that person. So you stop that person from, really facing their demons and the reality of their situation when you allow them to jump into your life as a distraction. You're only a distraction. You're only a distraction until they find a better source of supply. That's why a lot of narcissists will jump to other narcissists and high-level codependents, because that's all they can get at that time. Anything is better than nothing at that time. But they'll stay with the narcissist and codependent, but they'll be on the prowl for an empath. They'll be on the prowl. They will still be on dating sites and, talking to women at work or men at work. They'll be prowling for that empath, because the empath is the prize. The narcissist isn't the prize, they're from their own kind. The codependent isn't the prize, because to them they have no self-esteem. Narcissists want people who are seen as a challenge. And the empath who has self-esteem is a challenge for the narcissist. It's a challenge for their qareen. They love to pull and destroy and bring that empath down to the ground, to their level. It's the biggest challenge. They get the biggest ego reward when they can bring an empath down to their knees. So they'll always be on the prowl for an empath, but they will hop into relationships with other narcissists and codependents, whatever's easier to get at the time. So stop entertaining these people, because you are getting in the way of their punishment. Let them suffer. Let them suffer. Stop trying to save a narcissist from their karma. Their life is bad for a reason. They have no stability, no love, no nothing in their life for a reason. Their life's a mess for a reason. Stop trying to save them. Stop trying to improve their lives and give them what they're missing. Stop trying to fill their voids. You are messing with their karma. And it's not to say that they will never get it. They will get it, but they have to destroy you in the process first, because you got in the way. You got in the way of the narcissist journey of karma, of payback from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you've jumped in their way. So now, unfortunately, that person has to abuse you on that journey. You've put yourself in the firing line. Because narcissists will take their traumas from every person who they've met and been in a relationship with. It accumulates because they're always running away from having to pay for what they did by jumping into new relationships. So let's say, for example, a narcissist has found the third person in their life to get into a relationship with. That narcissist has taken the baggage, the trauma and baggage and karma from 2 previous relationships and brought it into yours. And then when you end the relationship with the narcissist, they will take 3 loads of baggage to relationship number 4. And then 4 loads of baggage to relationship number 5, because they keep running away from their karma. They don't self-reflect. They don't hold themselves accountable. And that's why they get more toxic with, that's why it never gets better with the new supply. So if you've seen your narc ex move on to someone new, believe me, that person's going to get it worse. Because they've run away from being held accountable with you. They're not processing what happened. They're not processing the type of people they are. They're not thinking about it. They're not making any positive changes. They've just run to the next source of supply and taken all that baggage with them. And that's why the new source of supply will never get it better. They will always get it worse, because karma is catching up with the narcissist. And they'll be more moody, more unhappy, more irritable. In public, they don't want it to seem that way. They don't want it to look that way. They want you to believe that you've lost out. But behind closed doors, believe me, that person whom they're with, the new person they're with, is getting it worse than you. They're getting it worse than you. They're dealing with 4 or 5 loads of baggage from previous relationships that person is not willing to open. They're not willing to open and address and actually face up to what they've done. So the karma will chase the narcissist, and that's why they'll never settle. That's why they'll never be happy, because it's chasing them. It will chase them until they stop one day, they stop running, and they turn around and they look at all the baggage that they're carrying with them, and they make that decision to go through every baggage one by one and actually take the lessons and actually realize what it is that they're doing and that they need to make a change in their life and who they are. Until then, a narcissist will keep running and take all the baggage that they've had from previous relationships into new ones. They're always running from being punished because they know Allah's going to punish them, and they run from that. So they want to prove to everyone, no, Allah loves me, I've got a good life, I'm making money, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But it's only because they're jumping to new sources of supply that can provide them with those things. It's not because Allah's given them that rizq. That man or that woman has jumped into a relationship with someone rich. They've jumped into a job that they've managed to get because someone's got a connection to that work, to that company. They've jumped into whatever. It's because they've chosen sources of supply who can provide them with the illusion that they're doing very well. It's not rizq. Don't get it confused with rizq. Rizq only comes to those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to bless. And they're usually empathic people, good empathic people. And even empaths come into the life of narcissists as the rizq. But the narcissist never appreciates. The empath comes into the life of a narcissist as a lifeline. Allah's like, you see, wouldn't you rather be like someone like this? Wouldn't you rather live the life of this empathic person at peace? They're stable. They're calm. They're not running away. They've got nothing to be accountable for because they treat everyone well. Would you not rather be someone like this? And the narcissist makes a decision. 9 times out of 10, it's, nah, I like who I am. They'll devalue the empath, discard the empath, or reverse discard the empath, and just carry on using and abusing. They just mimic the empath. They mirror the empath so that they can get more source of supply later. Like I said, they extract information from people, but not to use it in a good way. So they'll learn from you how to be a nice, good person so that they can go and trick someone else. Like, oh, okay, this person, okay, I'll do this and I'll do that. It'll be easier for me to catch someone empathic later. I'll just mirror the empath and apply what I've learned into that new relationship. That's what they do. 9 times out of 10. You'll get the occasional person here and there who'll wake up and say, you know what, I hate who I am. I want to be like this person. How do I be like this person? I'm going to make some changes. I'm going to make some changes. And they do. There are narcissists who change. And they become amazing people. They do become great people. So I just wanted to mention that because a lot of people do get in the way of Allah trying to teach this narcissist a lesson. When you offer yourself as a new source of supply, you're not helping that narcissist to change, and you're also destroying yourself in the process. Again, you're in the firing line. You're putting yourself out there as a martyr. Unnecessarily. Stop ignoring red flags. You see one red flag, ma'as-salama. You get out of there. And when I say you see one red flag, it'll be a red flag that will really indicate that person. It's not really who they say they are. Contradictory. Things don't add up. When you come across someone like that, avoid. Avoid like the plague. So, how can you take revenge on a narcissist or make them pay in a healthy way? If you really need to get it off your chest, if you really need to, feel like you've done something to redeem yourself for all the abuse that you've tolerated, there are 3 things you can do. The first one is go completely no contact. Whether they discard you or you walk away from them, as soon as that relationship has ended, and I'm talking about people who have no children, no ties to this person, no contact at all. No contact. You never text them for anything, block them if you have to. No answering texts, no answering calls, nothing. You treat them like they have fallen off the planet. You treat them like they've fallen off the planet. They don't exist. They don't exist anymore. That kills a narcissist. When you go completely no contact, they no longer have any control over your emotions. No control over your life, no control over your nafs, your qareen, nothing. You take away all the control when you stop allowing them access to you. Cut the access. They can no longer contact you. They can no longer have the privilege of speaking to you, of meeting up with you, of seeing you. You cut that off. No contact at all. Okay? Now, if you're co-parenting, if your narc ex is someone you have to co-parent with, then grey rock. That's number 2. Grey rock them. They will try to do so many things to get a reaction out of you. So many things. They'll infuriate you, irritate you, lie to you and manipulate you, annoy you, don't come to pick up the kids when they say they will. They drop the kids off late. Oh my goodness, so many things that they could do with the kids. Grey rock them. And when I say grey rock, it means don't give them a reaction. Don't give them the reaction that you know they want. Stone cold grey rock. No longer cry, don't beg, don't scream. Don't send paragraphs and paragraphs as text messages to these people explaining how you feel. Please don't do that. Nothing. Don't give them any reaction. And if possible, get a mediator involved. So, get your brother, your uncle, your father, whoever, to deal with the narcissist in that situation. In regards to the children, if you have the luxury of doing that, if you've got male relatives who can deal with him, he will hate that. He will hate that he has or she has no access to you. No access whatsoever. Your sister, your mom, let them deal with the narc when it comes to the kids. And only allow contact via SMS, just basic SMS texting. No WhatsApp. no WhatsApp, none of these applications where they can send you paragraphs and paragraphs. Just very basic SMS. Grey rock. Don't give them the reaction that they want anymore. Show them that they no longer have any control over your emotions. You no longer react the same way that you used to when they gaslight you and they irritate you. They get bored, honestly. They all get bored because they love drama. They love reactions. They feed off your reaction. When you take that away, they hate it. It burns them. They want a reaction. They really do. They hate it. And the third thing is that you work on healing yourself. Because the narcissists, what they want ultimately is to destroy you. They want to take away your iman, everything. They don't leave you until they are 100% convinced that they have destroyed you. That's why they always leave you at your worst. They leave you at your worst when you're so unhealthy in your body, mentally unwell, your iman is hit rock bottom. They leave you at your worst because mission complete for them, right? The mission of destroying you is complete. A narcissist will not discard you until their mission is complete. Sometimes they'll discard you when they know that you're going to discard them, but they will more often than not discard you when they believe that they've taken everything from you and they've secured themselves a new source of supply. That's why they always move on with someone very quickly after your divorce. Very quickly. Because that person's always been there. That person's been groomed for a long time without you knowing. The backup source of supply. So, what could be worse to a narcissist and their qareen than to leave you, okay, believing that they've completely destroyed you, only to see you get back on your feet, you're back on your deen, you've applied for a job, you've landed yourself a great job, you're in the gym, you're looking great, you're losing all that weight that you got from being so depressed and binge eating and comfort eating, and you're losing the weight, you're looking good, you're taking care of your skin, you're taking care of your hair, you're taking care of everything, you're taking yourself out on dates, you're going to dinners, you're associating with people whom they made you cut off. You're back to having a good relationship with your family after they made your relationship with them so bad during the marriage. When a narcissist sees that you're getting your life back and it's better than it was before, when I tell you it murders them, it's an understatement. Boy, does that take them 10 rounds through hell. 10 rounds through hell. They hate it. And now they want you back. Because their qareen is telling them, you idiot, you didn't destroy that person. You have to go back. Do whatever it takes to get back into that person's life because you cannot leave. I will not let you rest until you have completely destroyed that person. And that's when they hoover you. They hoover you when you're healing. You think it's a coincidence? Their qareen tells them. Their qareen tells them when you're healing. They're like, bro, wake up. You know that person we screwed over, they're getting back on their feet. You better get back in there. Because if that person gets their iman back, that person goes back to praying tahajjud, that person starts getting up for fajr again, that person starts going back to pray Jum'ah, and they found the will to start their business again, they found the will to go back to work, they found the will to get out of bed in the morning, out of that depression. Bro, all that hard work we did, it's going to go down the toilet. You best get back in there and fast. Oh, you'll receive the hoover. The I miss you text. Oh, hey, how are you doing? I thought of you today. I just thought I'd check in. See how you're doing. You'll get that hoover. Because they're back for round 2. Their qareen has told them, I will not let you rest if that person heals. I will not let it go for you. And that's why they're tormented. That's why they have sleep problems. Narcissists don't sleep. Every narcissist has sleep problems. They have sleep paralysis. all of those jinn problems, they have them because it's actually their qareen tormenting them for missed opportunities and not being able to get back into someone's life because they left a project before they were completely done. So you think that it's a coincidence that narcissists have trouble sleeping? They will only sleep well when you're in torment. So for example, you're married to a narcissist and you're crying, they've just hurt you, abused you, whatever, and they just turn around and sleep like a baby. It's the only time they can sleep really well. When they are being tormented by their qareen, they don't sleep. They get sleep paralysis and everything. Horrible dreams, horrible nightmares. Their qareen is tormenting them for a failed mission. And you might be married, you might still be married to this person. Their qareen is torturing them over someone 10 years ago. 10 years ago whom they let go. Who went on with their lives, they moved on with their lives and, they established a massive company, they're doing really well in their life, they married an empath, they've got children. Their qareen is still tormenting them over a lost supply from 10 years ago. Don't think that they're not tormented over past exes from a very long time ago, because I'm telling you they are, especially people in their 40s, 50s, 60s. They're still tormented over people they let slip through their hands 20 years ago. They never forget the empath that got away. They never forget the empath who got back on their feet and started again and healed. Healed from all the trauma, all the narc abuse, all of that. Believe me when I tell you they never forget that person. It kills them to remember that person because they can't believe that that person got back on their feet and they have a better life now. Especially if that empath married another empath and is now living a really happy life, because the narcissist never wanted that for you. The narcissist wanted you to be completely destroyed, and you only emphasize on their weakness when they see that other people are able to heal and they can't. Other people are able to move on with their lives and they can't. They look at their lives and they think, I am such a pathetic loser. I'm in the same situation again and again and again. And that empath, the one who got away, is now living a better life than me. Not only does it prove to everyone that they were always the problem, it also proves to the narcissist that empaths are stronger and that they're not as powerful as they would like to believe they are. Because the empath got back on their feet. They believe the empath played dumb. And that's why the qareen sends them back. You better get back into the life of the empath. That's why they always text married people. Even when their exes have moved on, they've got married, their life is doing great, that married empath will still get hoovered by the narcissist because the narcissist knows no boundaries. The narcissist has to get in by hook or by crook. And if they can't destroy the empath, then they will at least try to destroy the marriage. How many marriages have we seen get destroyed because a narcissist has come back to meddle in the life of an ex? Now the husband of the empath or the wife of the empath doesn't trust the empath because this narcissist has come back trying to destroy their marriage. But the narcissist will always be back. And if the narcissist does not come back, it's because they know there's no chance. They know there's no chance. They'll be destroyed if they even dare to come back. They'll be slayed if they ever came back. And they don't want to risk their ego being hurt even more than it already is. So there are some people the narcissist will never hoover because the narcissist knows if they even attempt it, their ego will be slashed to pieces. They'll never be given access to come back in. Narcissists avoid those people and they avoid hoovering those people. But if a narcissist believes that there's a chance, they'll be back. They'll be back. If they still believe that you have naivety in you and you're still a fool for them, they'll come back. And that's why they monitor your social media. Because if you've got married and moved on with your life, They lurk until they realize, or, they pick up on the fact that maybe you're having a bad time with your husband or wife, or maybe you're going through a breakup. They like to stay on your social media to know what's going on in your life. And that's when they hoover you. Like, oh, great, they're breaking up with their husband or wife. This is the best time for me to get my foot in again. Round 2, hoover. Round 2, abuse. Level 3. Level 4, level 5. They will hang around until they see a crack in the door. And then they'll hoover you. And then sometimes you let them in because you're going through a breakup. And now this is someone that you can talk to. The narcissist now pretends to be someone who is so kind and caring, and, oh, you can talk to me about your breakup, and, oh, what's happened? You're such a nice person. You don't deserve that. Tell me what happened. Blah, blah, blah. And that's how you get sucked back in to a relationship with the narc. It's all calculated. I bet there are people listening to this thinking, oh my God, that happened to me. That's exactly how the narc hoovered me back in. Yeah. You want revenge on a narc? Don't allow them to hoover you back in. Standard. No contact. Don't allow them to hoover. Grey rock them. Give them no reaction. Because they're not important. They're nobodies. This person is a nobody. They will try to play on your emotions. They may send you memories, old pictures. Do you remember this? Do you remember that? Grey rock them. Delete everything. Grey rock them. They're no longer important in your life. They decided to leave. Ma'as-salama. Good luck to you, mate. Good luck to you. You're no longer my problem. You are no longer my problem. I don't care what you do. I don't care who you get married to. I don't care if you have 10 kids. I don't care if you become a billionaire next year. I don't care. You are no longer my problem. When you have that attitude, it kills them. That's your revenge. But the ultimate revenge is you healing. Door slam that loser and heal for your own good. Learn the lessons that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent you. This person was sent into your life to teach you about yourself, to teach you about your weakness and your tolerance for abuse, teach you where all the cracks are, to teach you where you're so soft, where your Islamic education is lacking, where your self-esteem is, where your self-respect is. The level that they're at, Allah is trying to show you, you have low self-respect, low self-esteem. Work on those things. I have allowed this narcissist to enter your life temporarily to teach you so that you can be a much better person. You can heal, you can patch up those cracks and grow into a healthier, stronger, powerful Muslim and human being. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows this to happen. It's out of love for empaths rather than a punishment. People turn it into a punishment when they tolerate the abuse for 10, 20, 25 years. That now becomes your choice, not Allah's choice. Allah sent you 10,000 red flags in that marriage and you still decided to stay. That no longer becomes anything from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's now your choice. A narcissist in the life of an empath is always a temporary person. They don't stay for very long. They're just there to teach you a lesson and they're gone. Allah gets rid of them. I'm going to create a podcast, inshallah, about how Allah removes the narcissist from your life. Because that in itself is mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing information how Allah actually does it. And it's deeper than you think. It's deeper than you think. There's a lot of psychology behind it. And the way things plan out. It needs an entire podcast for me to explain it to you. It will blow your mind. Allah will always save the empath from the narcissist. And that in itself is a victory. That in itself is revenge. Allah saved you. Allah himself got you out. Why are you still crying over a narcissist, a demon, a satanic spirit? Why are you crying over these people, wanting revenge on these people, when Allah the Almighty in his grace and mercy, saved you from him or her. Isn't that enough revenge? That Allah's on your side? That Allah removed you from a toxic situation? Is that not enough as revenge? That's humiliating for their qareen. Humiliating. And the sooner you realize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved you and loves you, the quicker the revenge, because the narcissist doesn't ever want you to know that Allah loves you. He doesn't ever want you to know that Allah protects you and saves you. He's conditioned you for the last, God knows how long, to believe that you're not lovable by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Change your mindset and your perspective on the situation and receive Allah's love. Once you receive it, everything will grow. That's your seed that you need to water. Everything else will grow. Work on yourself. Work on everything the narc destroyed. And I'll give you another bonus tip as well. I'll give you another bonus tip on really hurting that narcissist. Do everything they didn't want you to do. You wanted to go to those art classes. You go to those art classes now, the ones that they stopped you from. You want to go to those Quran classes. You want to go out with your friends. You want to travel. You want to spend more time with your family. You want to study at university. You want to pursue a career. All of those things that they stopped you doing, go and do them. Go and do them. I'm telling you, it will burn them. It will burn them. That red nail polish that they never wanted you to wear, go and wear that. That dress they never wanted you to wear, go wear that dress. I'm not saying in haram, I'm talking about halal. Obviously, it's within the right context. But I'm saying like everything that they stopped you doing, please go and do them. Go and do it for yourself. Go and have a great time with your friends and your family. Book that trip you want to go on. Pursue that business you wanted to start that they told you would never work, would never be a success. Start that business. Pick up that hobby that you had to leave for them. Eat those biscuits they didn't allow you to have in the house. Do it. That will burn them. Do all of these things as revenge, and I'm telling you, you'll only gain. You will gain. Don't take revenge that will make you lose your dunya and your akhirah. Because that's, in most cases, that's what revenge does. It backfires and you lose both worlds. But when you follow the right revenge process in a healthy way, you'll benefit. You'll benefit a lot in both this dunya and the akhirah. Because you're working on yourself, you're healing yourself, and you're no longer allowing narcissists to come into your life. Educate yourself about narcissism. That's the whole point of this podcast channel. It's for you to learn and help yourselves. I want you guys to heal. I want you guys to heal. These people should not be having a hold over you. Educate yourselves on Islam. Listen to channels that speak about narcissism. But don't overdo it. Don't listen to too much information about narcissism because it will drain you as well. Listen to nice things as well. Don't become obsessed about researching narcissists and psychopaths. There's more to life than these people. This is an educational channel that I'm providing for you, from an Islamic psychological perspective, because I know there isn't anything out there like this. I know this is what people need to hear. But give yourself breaks from listening to talks about narcissism. Give yourself breaks from this channel as well. Don't binge listen to podcasts on here because it will affect your mental health, especially when you're feeling low. Don't listen to anything about narcissism when you're feeling low, because you'll only hate yourself for what you tolerated. Listen when your iman is high. Listen when you're in a good mood, because you'll be able to receive it better instead of ignoring everything that I'm saying and focusing on how stupid you are for tolerating someone so evil. Don't hate yourself for what for what you went through. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when Adam alayhi salam was tested, when Allah knew that Iblis would, test Adam alayhi salam and manipulate him and deceive him, Allah knew that was going to happen. You think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was angry with Adam alayhi salam? He wasn't angry with Adam alayhi salam because Allah knew that Adam wasn't to know. He wasn't to know. He wasn't to know that Iblis was being manipulative. He believed that Iblis was a friend who wanted to be, someone who wanted to be his friend. Someone who was being kind and advising him, and he was manipulated. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not punish Adam alayhi salam. He taught him a lesson about the manipulation of satanic spirit, of the shaitan. He wanted him to understand how manipulation happens. Everyone who's gone through it, everyone who's gone through narc abuse, it's not out of punishment. The same way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had to teach Adam alayhi salam the manipulations of the shaitan, is the same way he had to teach you. You were very naive. You were too naive. And a narcissist had to be sent into your life for you to understand how these people manipulate. And if you let these people manipulate you, what happens? What are the consequences of that? Don't beat yourself up. I'll probably leave this for another podcast, inshallah, but a lot of people are beating themselves up for tolerating a narcissist. Don't. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala needed to prepare Adam for the manipulations of the Qareen. So he allowed Iblis to deceive and manipulate him so that Adam could learn a lesson. It wasn't out of punishment. When a narcissist is sent to a good person, it's not out of punishment. It's because that person is too naive, and Allah needs to teach them about the evil people out there that they need to be aware of and be careful of. You can't live your life being naive. The strong believer is more beloved to Allah than the weak believer. And a strong believer is aware of everyone around them, aware of red flags, aware of what to be, careful of. The weak believer is naive. They fall for everything, again and again and again. Remember the hadith, a believer is not bitten from the same hole twice. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Okay? Always remember that. So, I'll end it here, inshallah. I hope that's been, beneficial for you, comforting to you. And I hope that answers your question. Any questions that I failed to answer in this podcast, please drop them below. I do my best to get back to everyone's comments. And thank you so much for everyone's kind comments as well. I really appreciate the support. It really means so much to me that my podcasts are making a difference to your lives. Alhamdulillah, I'm really grateful for that. And yeah, alhamdulillah, I'm really, it makes the hard work worth it, alhamdulillah. So please, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Do share this podcast with people who would benefit, inshallah. And anyone who needs one-to-one counselling and coaching, just drop me an email, author@themuslimnarcissist.com. There's loads of information on my Instagram page as well, the Muslim Narcissist book. And yeah, I hope, inshallah, this has given you some sort of peace and clarity. So I'll leave it here until the next podcast, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.